Tell me a little bit about the 30-second commercial, and what are we talking about today?
Well, you know what, Mike, it's funny. I have a little story I want to tell you about turtles. Okay. So I was watching Planet Earth, and there's this segment of the Planet Earth show where it shows these sea turtles hatching from underneath the sand. And there's literally thousands of these really cute sea turtles that are making their way out to the ocean, right? They're flapping their little wings and making their way out to the water. They're following the light of the moon. And in this show, you know that when something is really cute and serene, that's when they're about to introduce a predator. And so, sure enough, seagulls are circling in the air. They've been waiting for this moment. They've been waiting for these seagulls to start hatching, and they start snatching these things up like popcorn. And for the few sea turtles that make it to the water, because they can't move very fast, right? There's these black fin sharks, right, circling in the reef. You can see the fins, the black tip fins circling the reefs, and they're just waiting to gobble up the few that make it to the water. And you really start wondering, do any of these things live? Do they make it? And the announcer tells us that 1 in 1,000 sea turtles lives to be an adult, right? And it just speaks to how difficult the beginning of their life is. That you have to imagine that if they make it past those sharks, if they make it past those seagulls, the rest of it is much easier after that. And so it got me thinking about a sales process, how every step of the sales process, as you make it through the sales process, the percentage that you make it from one step to the next increases dramatically, which leads us to question, why don't we put way more thought and effort into the beginning of our process where the death rate is the highest? And that's the conversation starter. That's the 30-second commercial. I refer to it often as the conversation starter, so forgive me if I refer to it as the conversation starter throughout this whole session. But if you make a even subtle difference, a small difference, a 5%, 10% increase in your hit rate with your conversation starter, you could double or even triple your sales at the end of the year. Of course, it's some fuzzy math, but yes, that's why this is so critical. That's why this is important that we focus on this.
What's one attitude you'd like people to have leaving the podcast?
To be outwardly focused, that if you're reading your conversation starter, your 30-second commercial on paper, and it's all about you and your company, you need to scrap it. Just scrap it. Start over. Work your way backwards, list those features and benefits, work your way backwards to how it affects the individuals on a personal level.
And one key behavior to do.
Set aside time to do that. It's important. The beginning, the first impressions that you have with people is where you're going to have the highest fail rate, right? And so if you can move the needle in that first stage of the sales process with that first impression, you're going to dramatically increase your bottom line results.
And one technique, tip, or hack.
Technique, make sure that you end your 30-second commercial with a negative hook question. The negative hook question forces people to discard their tapes, their scriptiness, and to actually think about and contemplate what you just said to give an honest answer.
Thank you for watching this highlight video from the How to Succeed podcast. You can subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify, or click subscribe right here on YouTube to get notices about future episodes. And remember, whatever you are, be a good one.